Matzah comes from the Hebrew word matzah. It's the unleavened bread used during the Jewish holiday of Passover. When the Jews fled Egypt, they were forced to leave so quickly that their bread never rose. Matzah is eaten to commemorate this flight of the Jews called the Exodus. We took a trip to Stritz's matzah factory on the corner of Rivington and Suffolk Streets on New York City's Lower East Side to show you how this simple cracker is made.
We've been in the matzah business since 1925. In this location, actually my great-great-grandfather started on Pitt Street, which is not too far from here, in 1914, before we moved here.
Stritz's is one of the last family-owned and operated matzah companies in America. Aaron Gross, the founder's great-great-grandson, helps run the factory along with his father, Mel Gross, and cousin, Aaron Yagoda.
It was my great-great-grandfather, Aaron Strite, who started up the company. He then had two sons that were in the business, my great-grandfather, Irving Strite, and his brother, Jack Strite. They, in turn, both had 5 daughters, so that's where we lost the Strite's name. But still, everybody in the business is still direct descendants of Aaron Strite. We like being a part of a community in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. People come and visit, a little retail store next to the factory, and it's a nice integral part of the neighborhood.
Making Passover matzah is a carefully supervised and scrupulously timed operation. It accounts for more than 60% of the entire business.
We start baking for Passover in late October, early November. We're baking all the way through up until Passover time. As soon as the flour touches water, and the process needs to be done within 18 minutes. It's about 85 pounds of flour in each vat, and say 20-25 pounds of water, depending on how the oven's working that day, whether they want a soft batch or a hard batch of dough. That's going to be mixed for 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes. Then it's going to get fed by hand, dumped into a bin, down into the chute.
For each batch of matzah, a rabbi breaks off a piece of raw dough and certifies that the batch is indeed kosher for Passover.
We're in one of the mixing rooms in the factory. Everyone in this room, they all are Shomer Shabbos Jews. Everyone handling the matzah before it's baked, before it's produced, have to be Jewish. After that, anybody can really handle it. Once the dough is poured down into the chute, which feeds into the oven, a rabbi is going to take the bowl and is going to inspect it and clean it so there's nothing left on there from the earlier batch. And they're going to also have to clean the blades which mix the dough as well. Make sure they're completely spotless, there's nothing left over, nothing stuck to them that may in turn make the rest of the product hummus, which is not kosher for Passover. Rabbis are a very large part of the process here. We're going to have 5 mishkiim, which are rabbis that are constantly looking over production, overseeing that the factory does what we're supposed to be doing to keep things kosher.
My name is Rabbi Yehuda Rosenbaum. I represent the Chav K Kosher Supervision. The main factor is, when it comes to matzah, it has to be non-leavened. No rising, no yeast products in the matzah. Therefore, the Aaron Strite Company and other matzah factory manufacturers will engage a rabbi to supervise, to make sure, from the religious law perspective, that there is no leavening in the matzah.
The entire process from flour to matzah must take place within 18 minutes. Any batch taking longer than that is discarded.
It would be considered leavened product and therefore would not be allowed to be used for Passover.
It's going through a series of rollers that are just mixing it constantly, grinding it up, and makes it into a hard dough. Then it gets fed into, I think, four other rollers that are going to get it to the right thickness before it finally goes to the stippler machine.
The stippler perforates the dough to further ensure that it will absolutely not rise.
Then it gets cut into 4s and then into 8s and gets fed into the oven. It's a direct heat oven. It's about 900 degrees in there. The oven's 72 feet long, and it's going to cook for about 1.5 minutes from one end to the other. We have 2 men, one man pulling it out in sheets of 8. He's going to pull out 15 sheets, stack them on top of each other, pass it along to another guy who's going to break it into individual 1-pound packages, and then put it into a basket. It breaks very easily if you pull it out too hard or not fast enough. It's going to start piling up on you. If you pull it out too hard, you're going to break it. The baskets go up through the factory. We're on a couple different floors here, so the basket's going to take it upstairs, give it some time to cool off before we put it into the boxes to get fed into the packing machines. So we actually have a guy standing there who's going to take it out of the basket, put it into the packing machine, where it's going to get fed into the machine. It's going to be put into 1 pound boxes.
These old but sturdy machines turn out 50 boxes of matzah per minute.
This is the overwrap machine. It's going to take the 1 pound boxes of matzah and put the overwrap. This here is the oldest machine we have in the factory. My great-grandfather purchased it back in 1948. It's been here ever since. It's made up of a bunch of gears and a bunch of chains, and then send it down into the 5 pound overwrap, which you see in the grocery stores.
The factory averages about 350,000 sheets of matzah per day. Aaron Gross didn't originally think that his future lay in matzah.
It wasn't something I planned, it just happened, and I'm very happy what I'm doing. I work closely with my father. I spend a lot of time with my father, 2 of my cousins, and we all get along very well. It's nice working with family.
And for nearly 75 years, families have been making strices part of their Passover traditions as well.